But for right now, I'm going to take Matt, who's calling in from Oregon. Matt, you
Hello.
are live on Truth Wanted. What's going on, Matt?
Hi. I've been listening to the show for a while, and I wanted to call in and talk about how I'm no longer a conspiracy theorist, but I was for at least 2 years during COVID.
Oh man, wait, were you a conspiracy theorist when you first watched this program, was this afterwards
No,
when you? Okay,
this
no,
is
okay,
afterwards.
okay,
I found you guys through the atheist experience, I'm pretty sure.
okay, gotcha.
But
Yeah, so yeah, tell me about that.
all right. Well, I used to watch a lot of YouTube videos, and I got sucked into conspiracies through the pizzagate stuff. Because it's
Oh,
they're like, don't trust the media and look at the symbols that are all these symbols mean that people are pedos, but they're just symbols, and they're it's all conjecture, and they're assuming that something is happening when it really isn't. There's no actual evidence for something. When you know who the real pedos are, like the Republicans, supporting child marriage bills. So
sure,
it seems like an actual disinformation campaign, possibly to distract people. Maybe it's just through their own desire, to project on other people. But yeah,
yeah.
can you hear
Honestly,
me? I
Matt,
heard the
I
beep
could
in
do
my
a whole
earbud.
deep dive on Pizzagate because that is first of all the precursor to
Yeah,
QAnon, but also like there's a
right.
I think Pizzagate was a tipping point in online conspiracy culture because that reached such a mainstream status that I don't think any other conspiracy theory online had really reached before. And I think you're definitely
Not
not
really.
alone in your experience, right? In that being
Oh,
convincing
and
to you.
Gutsy Gibson, shout out to her.
Yeah, Guts a
Gutsy
Given is
Gibson,
awesome.
shout out
Shout
to
outs to Guts a
both
Given.
Robert Steffer.
Yeah. Okay. So Matt, you started believing Pizzagate and you were really into this. So I'm assuming you started to believe in other stuff too, because you never just believe in one conspiracy
Yeah,
theory,
I kind
right?
of got into flat Earth also.
Ah, flat Earth.
Yeah,
Of course. Of course. So you're getting
yeah,
into these
because that's
beliefs, and
also
I guess this
mine.
is happening during COVID. So that's pretty tough.
Yep.
But obviously you're not
Yeah. So then you're
you
taught.
don't
You're
believe them anymore.
no.
Yeah. So why not?
I've
What happened?
Mhm.
I looked at the Bible and realized the Bible is bullshit. So then everything these people are spouting normally they're Christians or some sort of variation of Christianity. So then what their direct the Torah and also the New Testament is basically bullshit because of all the contradictions and how their supposed God is actually evil and wants and has them kill babies just as many as they claim the Democrats are. So they're
Mm,
like they're just projecting because they're worshiping the entity or supposed entity, which doesn't really exist, that actually does just as worse things as they claim the opposite community does. So,
interesting.
looking at it critically and saying, wait, what these people are worshiping or want you to worship is actually just as bad as what they say someone else is doing. I'm sorry I'm repeating myself, but I'm kind of nervous.
No, you're totally fine. I think Armin had a question for you. Yeah, go ahead, Armin.
Well, I had a question, but now I'm going to say something else because of what he just said. But it kind of reminds me on how when the satanic panic was happening, people were not paying attention to how many, because they were like, oh, they're coming for the children. The Satanists are coming for the children. And people were not noticing how much the Catholic Church was going for the children. And now when we have the same
Exactly.
panic going with the trans people are coming for the children, and what we're seeing is like it's actually a lot of Republicans and conservatives that are going for the children. So it's always like, oh, they're going for the children, but actually look over here, not over there. So
Yeah,
that
yeah.
what you just said reminded
Right.
me of that,
I,
right? Yeah.
I think the cause for a lot of these people, a lot of these sexual offenders, is not the only cause. But I think a lot of it is sexual repression causes these people to offend. And if they were actually comfortable with their sexuality, they would never offend and they would never bless someone.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a psychology degree, right? But I can't help but think that there has to be some sort of connection there of people who find themselves in positions of power, right? Because being a pastor is a position of power. You have a congregation, you have an expectation of leadership. And like I think that can bring out something in people. You know what I mean? Like it's an old trope, right? Of the CEO who likes to go see the dominatrix
Yeah.
in his free time, right? I
Or
think
the
there's
CEO
probably
having
some element of that. Sure.
or the CEO
Go
with
ahead.
the old secretary and CEO trope, or secretary and boss trope. It's nothing
Yeah.
new, but man, and I will email you guys. I can help you guys do maybe give you guys the conspiracy theorist perspective on being on the whole pizzagate deal, because that's still going. That's people.
Oh yeah.
I think you're going to see a lot more things in the news about it in the next coming years, especially with Trump panicking and these people getting in their own echo chambers. That's another thing is, I don't know if you know about this guy, Destiny. He's a pretty big streamer on the semi-left. He has a lot of bad takes, but also he has some good ones. So, but he is, he directly challenges a lot of these people that are conspiracy theorists, like the vaccine, anti-vax people. They are shocked that someone is actually challenging them, because they're used to just being banned, and being banned confirms their conspiracy. So,
yeah.
Of course, companies like YouTube need to follow their advertisers and their investors. So I understand why. They don't understand that it's the investors, or maybe they do, but they also think that it validates what they believe in. So,
Yeah, no, one of the
talking about something, you're going to blame. Sorry.
Sure. No, you're good, Matt. One of the objectives in this show is I love talking to people who have that. Frankly, we don't talk to enough people like that. Because
Yeah.
I like hearing it verbalized, because I think part of why you probably got into this rabbit hole, Matt, and I'm just speculating here, is that especially if it's COVID, like when you start to get into it, you probably aren't talking to your friends about it at first and stuff, right? You're probably doing this research on your own and trying to figure stuff out. And how much radicalization happens by people just watching a couple YouTube videos or doing some private internet research, you know what I mean? And trying to figure this stuff out. Like, I think that is a gateway to it. And you're right. Like, I need to do a deep dive on Pizzagate, because people don't understand Pizzagate. I hate when people talk about it, because there's a lot of nuances to it, and and it was the gate. Like, I do firmly believe, like, QAnon would not be a thing without Pizzagate. I think that connection is
because it's
much
directly built
there,
off of
but
that, and the researchers that started Pizzagate.
Yeah, and it has directly affected the political climate today, in a way that I would argue is unprecedented. Some people said it has happened before with other conspiracies, like, for example, the anti-Masonry movement. That's happened. There's still relics of that, but that used to be really bigger, stuff like that. So, yeah, Armin, you had a point.
Obama. Remember when people thought Obama was like a Muslim? That was a big
People still think he's a Muslim. Oh yeah, that's definitely part of that's a whole other can of worms too. Armin, you had something you wanted to say though.
No, I wanted to ask, do you have any
people that are anti-Freemasonry?
Yeah, no.
The people that are anti-Freemasonry are basically anti-America. They're basically anti-America because America is built on Freemasonry. So
there is that element of it, but and maybe that's another topic for a deep dive. But Freemasonry in this country has a very weird political history, because there was a very prominent, and like, your politics used to be determined also by what you thought about the Masons was like as common as like what you thought about abortion. You know what I mean? Like, that used to be a way more prominent thing that people just like don't give a shit about today, but in part was fueled by conspiracies about what Masons were doing and stuff. So there's a very interesting rabbit hole there that I'll have to get to another time. But anyway, Armin, what did you have?
No, I was just gonna ask Matt a quick questions. If you have any tips for us for how to talk to somebody who, based on you yourself being into conspiracy theory, do you have any tips for us on how to talk to somebody who's into conspiracy theories?
Yes. Find out find out what God they believe in, and if they believe in God, and whether or not they think that God is good, and then question them, why would a good loving God allow these people to be in power and control the world?
Well, that's an interesting one. Yeah, I don't.
All the big ones are associated on worshiping or on being in control, having some sort of oligarchy controlling the whole world. So,
see, Matt, I would say, if I was a Christian, though, Matt,
would allow that.
I feel like I would have a good response, though. I would just be like, well, look, Satan is prince of this earth, right? And so, those who are influenced by Satan will have power on this earth, but when the new heaven and earth is created, they won't have power, and justice will be served. Right? There's my Christian response. So
I would give you if I was putting my religious hat on, I would say like God is giving you the opportunity. God is having this evil on earth to give you the opportunity to prove yourself, that you stand up to that evil. If there was no evil, you wouldn't have the chance to stand up to it, to show God that you're a worthy warrior.
there you go.
Well,
Armin's
I can make stuff up. I just made
a
it up.
crypto Christian confirmed.
People
Sorry, Matt. We got a few more calls here. I'm gonna have to go ahead and let you go.
All right.
But I do appreciate you calling
All right, have a
and
good
telling
night.
us about that.